Everyone will say, this is how I want my trip to end. But the reality is, only a few are willing to accept their trip ending like this.
4.5 hours of trolling, no bites. This is what Go Big or Go Home looks like. We're going home right now. Signing off.
But that's what I love most about fishing. There's no guarantees. And every new day is a new opportunity at the unknown.
Boys, that's what we wanted. That's why I didn't want to go mingo fishing, right there. Go big or go home.
Join me as I head out with Captain Bobby of Bloodline Charters on a 12-hour trolling trip to the Fads. The Fads are man-made objects that are designed to hold pelagic fish. This fad is made from buoys, lines, and ropes that are tethered to the ocean floor. There are also many natural fads throughout the ocean, such as logs and weed lines. This is why every time that we're offshore, we're always looking at the surface. Because anything floating on the surface can hold fish, and fish will always hold the structure. That structure can be a wreck on the ocean floor, or as massive as an oil rig 70 miles offshore, sitting in 3,000 feet of water. Every one of these structures is its own individual fish ecosystem. And this is why fishermen head to wrecks, fads, and oil rigs for the opportunity to catch a trophy fish. As Captain Bobby and his first mate Gunner got the outriggers out, we started trolling as soon as we hit the blue water. We were rolling with 6 lines and our target species was wahoo, but we were good with any pelagic fish. With trolling, we could troll all day long without any action. But when you're in the blue water and you're near structure, those chances go up so much more. After 2 hours of trolling in the blue water with no fish, the first fad was on the horizon, and this is when the action kicked off for us. After user error, or Minnesota angler error, on the first fish, we knew the fish were here at the fads. After trolling, we stopped by the fad, dropped some slow pitch jigs, and hooked up on some tuna. This was pretty cool to see because neither of these guys had ever been saltwater fishing before. That was the reason I booked this trip, was I wanted them to have the opportunity to still catch some saltwater fish. Tuna was not what I was thinking they were going to catch. With my 2 friends jigging in the back for tuna and pulling up blackfin, I stood on the bow with the 2 rods that I had brought on this trip. I brought along with me 2 topwater baits from Black Ledge Lures on this trip, and I started casting away. Honestly, the odds of me catching something were slim because there was no topwater action and I was using topwater lures. Normally when using topwater lures, you're looking for fish to be hitting the surface or birds flying around or bait fish. There was none of that, but I just decided to cast. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown this thing. I have been on so many trips and skunked out every single time. But this time, I did not. The only thing that was disappointing from this trip was that my camera failed to get the initial run from this giant fish. But I had booked this trip for my friends from Minnesota, and so I passed the rod off to my friend Eric, and he was able to fight a true fish of a lifetime.
making that noise, you're not gaining any line, so don't try to...
Don't reel against the drag, Dingus.
Yeah. Pull up and reel down.
You ever been fishing before?
Yeah.
Let's go! Oh yeah! A yellow! Let's go! Woo! Let's go!
That's awesome, boys!
No way!
That's a nice tuna there. Wow!
That's a yellow? Yeah.
Wow!
That's a yellow. Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
Boys, that's what we wanted.
That's a nice one.
Hold him up, John. Things getting shipped home to Minnesota. Using it.
Joey, sit on the other side of him.
That's freaking gangster.
This is why I love saltwater fishing. You just never know what you're going to catch. This trip that I had booked with Bloodline Charters was a last-minute decision. We booked it with a 48-hour notice. My original plan was I was going to have 5 of my college hockey teammates come in for a 24-hour oil rig fishing trip. But with weather canceling our trip 2 different times, I had these 2 friends of mine, Eric and Joey, just come in because they knew they would be unable to reschedule. I did my research, and this is how I found Bloodline Charters. I wanted to find a big center console boat because I knew the conditions were going to be rough, and I also wanted to book with whichever captain was the friendliest and nicest to talk to. I knew with one conversation with Captain Bobby that he was the right captain to book with. My conversation with Captain Bobby before we went was I told him I want to go big or go home. I gave my 2 friends 0 input on this. I think they were a little hesitant, thinking that we could strike out, but it worked out pretty good in their favor. And even on the way home, Captain Bobby, knowing that Eric and Joey had never been offshore fishing or fishing in the Gulf of Mexico, he let them catch additional fish on the way in. We stopped at some bottom spots. He let them use electric reels and catch some bottom red snapper and triggerfish.
Go golf today. Swing and a miss. $100 the red snapper. Oh, trigger, too thinking of that. Double or nothing, the Vikings go win the Super Bowl next year.
If you're looking for an offshore charter on Pensacola Beach, definitely check these guys out. And I promise you'll have an amazing time. I want to thank these guys again, and really being fun to hang out with. It didn't feel like a charter. I felt like I was just hanging out with a bunch of friends. That's what makes these trips so fun. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
T-shirt and hat, but my favorite place to be is here.